Hi everybody, it's Peter Zellum's Griniflix Adventure 8 and welcome to another video. Today's video it's about Leica, of course, Leica M. In fact, I've been invited to do a wedding. I am a guest, I'm not the official wedding photographer. I've been given free rein to be the paparazzi photographer. Yes, so a guest with basically the function of taking photographs where and when I want to as well. So being the paparazzi, I've got a choice of cameras. Well, as you probably know on my channel, I shoot mainly Nikon and also I shoot mainly Leica. So my choice of cameras. I can go out with the Z9 and one of my zoom lenses, so that's an option. I can go out with my Leica SL2, also with a zoom option. Or I can go out with my favorite event cameras, and that's my M series cameras. So my choice for this wedding is the Leica M10 Monochrom and also the Leica M11. And the choice of lenses, f1.2 50mm Noctilux and also my 35mm f2 APO lens. I've done the wedding. Now I can give you some feedback on my experiences with this wedding and also show you some of the results. I'll share some of the photographs that I took during the wedding. It was my nephew's wedding, Tom and Katie, so congratulations again to their new life together. But let's just talk about some of the choices I made and also some of the experience as well. Now, needless to say, I could use any one of those 4 cameras that I mentioned for the, being the paparazzi photographer, the uncle in this case here for the wedding. However, my choice is when it comes to events like that, like wedding events or where I'm the paparazzi as opposed to the official photographer, is to use one of my Leica M cameras. I also have the Leica Q2, so that is also a viable option when it comes to the paparazzi type other shots that are taken during the major event. In my case, okay, I've chosen to use the Monochrom and also the Leica M11. Lenses, yes. Well, my 2 favorite lenses for events, as far as focal length are concerned, a 35mm and also 50mm. Inevitably, in any sort of event, there are group shots, so the 35mm is fantastic for that, just that little bit wider. But it doesn't distort as much as a 28mm or a 24 or even a 21mm lens. Particularly for portrait shots, if you're just taking one person, for example, you still get a great image without this distortion of a wide-angle lens. The 50mm lens is more of a portrait lens and it enables you to be a little bit further back from the action. The 35mm takes you closer to what's going on, and the 50 lets you sit back slightly, but still close enough to interact easily with your subject as well. Monochrome versus color. All right. Okay, so there's probably 2 things here, is how matching up the lenses with the body. I wanted to shoot the Noctilux, and I've invested heavily into photography. I guess I've worked a lot, worked hard over the years to accumulate enough funds to basically spend on my passion, which is photography. So I do actually have a choice of Noctilux lenses. I've got the Noctilux 0.95, f0.95 Noctilux, as well as this 1.2 Noctilux. There's a big difference between the 2 lenses, besides the f-stop. The character of the lenses are really completely different. The 0.95 is wide open aperture, but it's a really relatively sharp lens. For an aperture that opens up completely to 0.95, so you could take shots like that and get a great image. You have a really narrow depth of field and fantastic bokeh. The 1.2 Noctilux is basically a remanufactured from the original that was out there in the 1950s and 60s. It's a character field lens which has its unique qualities. So it's almost like the old school film days of soft focus, of really swirly bokeh. That is the character of the lens when you're shooting it you know, f1.2. When you start to stop it down to, you know, 2.84, 5.6, it becomes like a normal lens, where you get a larger depth of field and everything becomes evened out. But nevertheless, that character still remains there in the lens. So compared to a sharp lens like the 35mm APO, or the 1.4 Summicron 50mm lens, which is also a very sharp lens at all its f-stops. So this produces a very different type of image. Being a retro type lens, I thought it would work really well with the retro feel of black and white photography, and hence the monochrome body. What I like about fixed focal length lenses and also dedicated bodies, black and white monochrome, is you burn your bridges. You're committed. You've got no choice. There is no color version taken with the black and white monochrome body. You're taking black and white. So, and you're committed to the 50, and you're committed to the Noctilux, and wherever possible I was using this lens at 1.2. So I wanted the full character. I don't necessarily produce the sharpest photograph, the most in focus photograph, but possibly the type of character and the type of image you get is going to be completely different to the type of shots that the official photographer is using and taking with their zoom lenses and Nikon and Sony and whatever cameras they're using. So that was the point of being the paparazzi and taking a different type of shot, and maybe possibly an artistic shot, which gives some options to the client in this case, the newlyweds. Yeah, so that was the thinking behind the choice of bodies and cameras. I matched up the APO 35 with the Leica M11, and the 35mm APO f2 is probably one of the sharpest lenses that Leica makes. The other advantage of the 35 APO is its close focus capability. So this APO M lenses normally just focus down to 0.7 meters, whereas this one here has a soft stop, and then you can focus all the way down to 0.3 meters as well. So I thought there might be some opportunities to take some close-ups, in which case this lens and this combination is going to be perfect for that. I was shooting color, of course, with this, and so there were choices where I shot part of the wedding with this, and then also part of the wedding with the monochrome. It was a 3-day wedding event. So on the Friday evening there was a dinner at the local hotel, and my choice was to take the monochrome and the Noctilux lens. And then the next day was the prep and also the ceremony and the reception. Started off with my M11 and also used the monochrome as well, both for the ceremony and also for the reception. So a combination of both during the day as well as in the evening. So again, really low light scenarios. I did take a flash unit with me, a METS flash unit, so one that you can bounce off and the walls and everything, but these cameras handle low light situations so well. So I just use the natural light, whatever light is available, to take the photographs rather than using flash. If I was the official wedding photographer, then I may have taken some flash shots as well, particularly in groups in low light conditions where basically you're recording the people that are there, recording the events as they happen, and you basically want a really sharp image and to a certain extent a factual representation of what is happening. If I was using the flash, then, and because it's got a flash base and a handle and a head that swivels and everything, then I would have used that with the M11. So the other thing to note with these rangefinder cameras is that yes, they are rangefinders. So using this optical viewer there, and then it's got another window there which has got another image, and basically lining up two images in a little square in the optical viewfinder, and once you've lined them up then you should have the right focus. I did check my cameras that rangefinder was calibrated properly. I've actually got a video where I can show you how that's done with these rangefinders, so I'll provide a link in the video there. So that way I knew that whatever I was doing with regards to my focus and the rangefinder, then I would get exactly the result that I was hoping to achieve. It takes a bit of practice to sort of get used to the idea of a rangefinder and how to use it and how to set up that little image so it superimposes. And it wasn't unusual for me to find a particular line on the subject in low light where I basically get the focus and then take the shots as necessary. When shooting the Noctilux at 1.2, your focus is really critical because of the shallow depth of field. Combined with the character of the lens, you'll see that in the images, in the black and white images, that there is a softer focus image that you get with this combination. One is because either I missed the focus because of such a narrow depth of field, and because of the character of the lens, where the image at 1.2 is quite relatively sharp in the middle, but then it becomes quite soft as it starts to move away from the middle in every direction. And you'll see that in the photographs. So I do have the optional viewfinder, electronic viewfinder that you can clip in, both for the M11 as well as for the Monochrom. I had that with me, but I find again in low light conditions and I'm quicker with the rangefinder. If I anticipate a shot, I would just basically go to infinity, for example, and then come back to where I think my focus is. Then I've got it, and I can take the shot. I'm not concerned about each shot and trying to get the focus with my electronic viewfinder. If I'm doing really close-up work, particularly on the 35mm APO, for example, going right down to 0.3 meters, well then the rangefinder doesn't work. That only works to 0.7 meters. So then I would use live view on the back of the screen like this to take the shot. So how did these two cameras perform during the course of the weekend? Well, in summary, fantastic. No problems with either of them. I charged up the batteries to 100% before the event, so on the Thursday basically. And I haven't recharged, I haven't changed the battery since then. So on the M11, end up taking 276 photographs in total, and right now it's got 45% battery life remaining. And then on the Monochrom, how many shots did I take? 396, so to about 120 more photographs on the M10 Monochrom, and we've got 35% battery life left. So 45 on there and 35% on there. Now the advantage of the M11, it's got a large capacity battery, so that's well recognized. But really there's I took 270, say 280 on there and 400 on here, and 45% battery life left there, 35% battery life left on here, which is fantastic. So on a percentage base, the amount of power used per photograph, it's basically the same, I would say. I have a calculation that will work out exactly what it is. I was getting, with the Monochrom, 6.1 shots per percent of power, and the Leica M11 5.2 shots per 1% of power. So that would have given me a total capacity of 520 shots for the M11 and 610 shots on the Monochrom, even though it's got a smaller capacity battery. Interesting. Well, there you go. Have you found that? What's been your experience? If you've got both cameras, the M10 version, M10R version, or the Monochrom, or the M11. Alright, well, why don't we have a look at some of these photographs, and I'll share that with you now, and then after this little bit of a slideshow we'll come back and then we'll finish up. What do you think? Any shots that you like? Do you like the black and white ones better? Do you like the colour ones better? Would you have used the Noctilux 1.2, f1.2 to get those sort of arty type shots? Would you have just shot it with the 35mm APO and the Leica M11? Would you even attempt to do it with a rangefinder camera? Or would you go for the zoom lenses they sell to Leica or the Nikon or whatever mirrorless camera, or DSLR cameras? Yes, I do have my DSLR Nikon cameras as well, so a large choice. Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then give it a thumbs up. That's how you support the channel. And if you haven't already subscribed, then do subscribe and press notifications. You'll be notified when the next video is out. I've also set up channel membership now for Griniflix Adventure 8 channel. So if you want to become a member, then please do. There's 3 levels of membership, and the details are there in the description of the video. So please do become a member. That's also how you support the channel. It helps me produce more content that's more relevant to my superheroes that join the membership. But nevertheless, whether you're a member or whether you're a viewer or whether you're a subscriber, I really do appreciate you joining me in these videos. Do comment, welcome your thoughts. That's how I produce new material. And look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thanks again for watching. Cheers. Bye.